Good morning, everybody. So, yesterday was session number 37. It was on a full moon day, so that night it was a full moon, and the facilitator, she always plans sessions on a full moon. So, before going into the session, I always have this thing that I like to say. Like, I must say, every session is so different, and it's such a surprise to me. But I know that I just need to allow myself to be open to experience, to discover. So the first thing that I say whenever I intend to go to a session is, I say, if there is a God, I ask for his help now. And I just say that and I feel that, so that I'm open to receive the help that I need. And when we arrived at the session, I went with a friend of mine. It was a big group. It was around 15 to 20 people, I think 20 people. And what's noticeable about the groups is it's always mostly women. So I would say 70-80% is mostly women and 10-20% men. Because there's always like a feminine energy. You come to receive, you come to surrender, you come with some kind of vulnerable gentleness, because you really want to give yourself, to surrender yourself, and it is beautiful. You can see it with everybody. So as we came into the session, the room was already set up and everybody was sitting, and so we arrived a bit late, so they had to seek a place for us. And in the middle of the room there was a spot, and I said to my friend, if you go in the middle, that's the spot where the most energy is circulating. Right? That's the center of the circulating energy. He immediately rushed to the middle of the room, and he stood there. He waited for a yoga mat, and then he laid down. And yeah, I've already had those experiences, so I know when you're in the middle of the room, it's like you're so connected to everybody, and sometimes the energy uses your hands and uses you to work with other people. My friend afterwards, he told me, when I was lying down there, sometimes I noticed my hands were all of a sudden like drawn to people around me, and they were trying to do things, and I was just observing how it was happening. I thought, like, what is this? What is happening? But then he realized my hands, the energy is using my hands to work with other people. So I got a different spot, and the facilitator did an introduction and she did a demo. Now, my friend has done 3 sessions so far, and his last session was his most intense, where he felt really activated, where his body was beyond his control, where the energy was truly actively expressing itself through the body. But he has still a lot of doubt. He thought, maybe I am doing this. Maybe this is not what surrender really is. Maybe it's not real. So this time, the facilitator, she did the demo, and she goes around the room and she taps people on the shoulder, and it's like, you lay down, and then she works a bit on you, and then she goes to another person, and she chooses 3, 4, 5 persons to just activate those people, so that the energy is already in the room, and so that the mood, or the energetic mood in the room, the atmosphere changes. It becomes very present, very intense, very electric almost. You're immersed in that energy. So she was working on my friend, and he was just lying there. And then all of a sudden she went away, and all of a sudden his chest began to move. It began to rise up. His feet began to tremble. He started to make movements. And I realized at that moment, this is his 4th session, and he is activated, right? His energy, his kundalini energy is activated. And she did it with a couple of people, and every person had a different kind of reaction. You could see how sensitive a person is in their process. So some people would start to move and dance. Other people would be like just lying there, not a lot of things happening. When she touched me, immediately I made a bridge, a yoga bridge, and started to shout, Elohim, like very loud. Elohim is a name for God. I don't know why I started to shout it, but it comes out. I don't decide what comes out. You don't decide what words or what it wants to express itself. So the session, the demo then stopped, and the facilitators said, does anybody has any questions? These are like the different various experiences that can happen on an external level. But what's really important here is that the external things that happen are not really indicative of whether a process is successful or unsuccessful, because when we have all different sheets, we have a physical body, mental body, emotional body, energetic body, we have a bliss body, we have a karmic body, we have all kinds of bodies, and the energy can make a shift in any one of these bodies. So even if you're not moving, nothing's happening, the energy is doing something, and you may notice it only weeks after. So don't worry if you don't have any symptoms or you're not moving, because the point of KAP is not to move. The point of KAP is not to have a shouting or whatever. These are all indicative of your sensitivity to the energy, of how active your energy is. But it doesn't mean, I mean, there are people who don't have any experiences, but they have shifts in consciousness. Their energy is affected. So there's no template. You should be like this, or this is how it should be, otherwise it's not real or not effective. Everybody's getting an energetic upgrade. So the session started, and I was lying on the ground, and then I sat up, and I just felt this energy in my root chakra like stream up through my spine to my head, and it was kind of like a light and then exploding, a light and then exploding, a light and then exploding, and my brain was constantly, my physiology was shifting. I felt like it was a literal rewiring. I felt like, you know, in the old telephone times when an operator had to connect one input to another to connect you, it was like that was happening in my head, like constantly for 10 minutes straight. So there was a lot of readjustment. When that happened, I noticed that my breathing changed, my sensitivity of my body changed, my feeling, my experience changed. So it was all being done. And then I saw, like, the first thing that I saw my home, and I literally saw I need a new laptop. So I don't have a laptop right now, and I really need a new laptop because apparently I need to do some work on it. I need to write a book, or something needs to be created there, and I don't have that opportunity now. So that keeps coming back in my session, so I will definitely get a laptop soon. So then I saw my partner. I saw my partner in her room, and I had the energy zoomed in on her, and I saw her sitting, and I felt like we need to separate. We need to let each other go. Because right now we're stuck in this kind of loop where whenever we want to separate, our inner child, it's like it's having a reaction where we're drawn together again, like we want to hold on to what was good. Like whenever we're almost about to separate, we feel like, oh my God, we're gonna lose all the good that we had. So we come back together. It's like a thing that's being like stretched out, and I know it's gonna like rip one day, and it's not gonna come back. But I don't worry about it. I realize at the right time, at the right moment, it will end. Like I don't have any harm intent towards it. I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to have, let's say, bad karma or a bad influence. I just allow it to be. I don't judge it. This is how it is. This is how it is. I can make a decision, like I'm gonna cut it. I'm just gonna pour through it. But why would I? Why would I? I'm not suffering it. This is my life. This is what life has given me. So I'm learning from it. I'm always learning from this experience. And sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's not. Whenever it's tough, I have like this journal at home. And every night if we have like a lot of tension with my partner, I just write, what is one good thing about my partner? And then I write a couple of things or one thing, and I just try to look at her positively. Because the mind can villainize people or make them bad or the source of your negative feelings. So then at a certain point I saw the energy connect us all in the room. So like this energy of a dragon, like a white transparent dragon, like going through everybody, connecting everybody, and it was like love, light, and healing going through like a white, filling everybody, touching everybody's heart. I felt the people, I felt every person. And at a certain point, I was just sitting, like angels start to appear, like literally like light, like beings of light with wings started to appear one by one, one by one, one by one. And they took me up. I felt like, okay, I go up. They took my hands and we started to sing very loud, Elohim, Elohim, Elohim. We started to sing that for a while, and then I went into the middle of the circle, and they like poured their light on me, and I felt like I was beamed up with like this unlimited amount of light, and and I saw my energetic body. I looked at myself, like, you know, like in the Matrix when you see the code, I saw like full light, like full body of light, and I had like wings, and all of a sudden my wings were like embracing everybody in the room, and I just embraced everybody, and I looked at everybody, and all of a sudden I had this sensitivity. With my eyes closed, I could see every person, and I could sense and feel into their suffering. I could see the state of their soul, the state of their life, how they're going through it, all they've been so far, how worn out they are, right? I could see the suffering of them. And then I could see the suffering of the world. I felt it, there was so much suffering. And a voice said to me, let the resistance go to their own suffering. And I felt like a deepening in my heart. And then I realized I had to accept my suffering completely before I can accept the suffering of all the others. Because if I cannot accept that, how can I accept the others? So at a certain point, there was this feeling of devotion to God that's becoming more absolute. I feel like this like, well, I'm really this innate, authentic devotion to God, to be of service to Him. And at a certain point, I was just standing with them, and once the resistance was gone in my heart, I just laid down, and I just kept laying on the ground and just being in that sensitivity. And then the facilitator came up, and she put her hand on me like this, softly, but it felt like there was something sticking in my heart, like there was something like pricking through. It was so painful, so tender. And I was screaming, fuck, like screaming. It was like you have this tender spot, and somebody's like just pushing through it. And I kept feeling what's there, and there was this sense of vulnerability there that I didn't want to feel. I knew that if I go to there, I'm just gonna burst out into tears, and I'm gonna make like this cringy faces, you know, like cry cringily without any holding back. And I didn't want to do that. Like I had like this resistance to be in that state, and I didn't want people to see that. There's some kind of shame. Shame is, of course, attached to pride. So too proud to be completely vulnerable. So she kept pushing it, and I just fell into it. It's like you're forced to fall into it. And the crazy thing was, the girl next to me, that was lying next to me, she was sobbing a lot, like making these sounds of crying. And all of a sudden I just fell into the pain, and I was howling it like a wolf, like howling, like very loud howling the pain. And I uncovered my face and I started to sob. I started to feel the pain, to cry it out, and I felt a surrender of those feelings. But I realized I can go even deeper. I can break the barrier so that there's no, let's say, like going into the pain, resisting it, and then going through the resistance, and then so that it's effortlessly, because now it's like differentiated in my mind, I guess. It's like, this is how I am, this is vulnerable, this is how I don't want to be. So there's this distinction. So this is not how I want to be. So I'm not accepting the totality of my own, of my capacity of feeling, of expressing into my reality. So after I sobbed for a while, I started to all of a sudden there was this stillness. And then at some point I started to see flashes. Normally I see like movies and really like HD content, let's say, but I started to see flashes. Started to see like a girl that I know and whom I suspect is my soulmate or my twin flame. And I just saw her like in some kind of open space. I went to her and we started to kiss, and then we met, and then again I got a ring. I put it on her, she put it on me, and we were like, yeah, just together. And you know what's funny, after the session when I was going home, that's so active. I feel a pull whenever I was passing by in the street, like whenever I would see wedding rings or something to do with that, I would be like instantly like attuned to it. It was so obvious in my scope of awareness. Now the thing with this that I notice is, like, energetically things are shifting, and maybe it is true, maybe it is not, but I have no idea to judge it. I can only say that things are shifting in me, and my mind is reacting because it believes something needs to happen now, something needs to change now, something needs to. So I've had this experience, so that means I need to take steps to be with this partner. No. That's the mind. In reality, I just have to stay in the energy and allow my life to unfold itself. Don't rush it. Don't cling on to these things as if something needs to happen now. For everything, there's a time and a place, right? Everything will happen according to its own karmic fate, right? You cannot force it, because sometimes you can force things that you feel like you want to do, but it may be too soon. Anyway, after that, I just laid there and I was not moving a lot. I was really surprised, and I thought, wow, every session is really different. And sometimes a rewiring would occur. But then a thought came, like, what's my purpose? And like, I saw like this tattoo on my chest, like guardian of love. And then to be a light in this world. And then I said, God, please help me to be a light in this world. And all of a sudden I was like transported to this open, huge space. And I saw like light beings, like a light being. And I saw another light being whom I recognized, whom I had interactions with before. Now, it was a very dear light being to me. And he said, you have to let go. He took me and I felt it. And it's almost like you're dreaming it, but energetically you feel it. So you're seeing the dream, and whatever's happening in it, you feel it occurring. So your consciousness it's like Your consciousness is in that dimension actively going through it. Your body's still laying there, but you've lost complete awareness of your body, of that your body's here, what's happening with your body. So he took me, he looked at me, and he said, you have to let go. And I looked at them, and they surrounded me like in a square, and they were like channeling white light to me, and it was like engulfing me like a tornado, and it was like a beautiful like tornado, and it was swirling me up, and I felt in me, my center, my I. When I say I, there's this feeling I am here, right here. So I felt that was being almost like squeezed out, that I-ness, that identification has to completely dissolve so that consciousness can operate unconditionally, unbounded by identity. Because now there's still an identification with consciousness, with awareness. And I felt that to go through that, it's like you have to die. You have to literally go through that, because you have awareness, and there's an identification. I am this awareness. But if you let go of even that identification, there's just the field, the infinite field of awareness in which everything arises, but nothing's personal, right? The personal is, I remember Ellen Watts explained it very, very good. When we're born and when we're kids and we're growing up, and people tell us, you're this, don't do that, our body start to tense, build up tension. All these rules, all this conditioning starts to be programmed into our body. And so when you have this innate feeling of I, like this tension, this is what I am, this is who I am, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. And it's almost like it's so deeply programmed that you almost have to like almost die to your sense of this clutch, this holding of I, to really just allow life to be. You're still gonna be there, but your perception of your experience will be completely non-local, like a non-duality. They talk about it. I did 2 interviews with Nargis, and on my channel, they talk about how it's a non-dual awareness. So there's not a sense of I'm here, you're there. It's just so right now, the way we live in a constant, let's say, we live step by step, and we plan, we remember, we relate to everything, right? We relate, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and we're constantly like being like, we're interacting with the world, right? And sometimes we're threatened, sometimes we're not, sometimes we're supported. Now, when you're in that non-dual state, it's almost like you're in a constant mode of discovery. It's like there's just a complete awareness, a complete sense of being here, and every thought, every sensation, every emotion is just, wow, this is for the first time you're discovering it. It's like everything is a revelation, and it's fresh, and it's never like old. It's I've experienced that state a couple of times in my life. It's a very extraordinary state. It's very ordinary, but it's because it's free. Anyway, so I was in this tornado, and I felt myself disappearing, and then I saw glimpses of my purpose. And I'm really hesitant to say this, but I said, again, help me to be a light in this world. And then I saw not myself, but I saw like a YouTube page or something, and I saw like a room, a video, a room with people and a man, and it said satsang with Igor. And I looked at that, and something in me is like, what? Like, something in me, like, I cannot really believe that I would ever be in a situation where I would be like, let's say, a teacher or a guide for people, because I don't know, I don't feel like I am that. I feel like, yeah, it's so beyond me, you know, when you see like people like Muji, like Eckhart Tolle, like Ajay Shanti, like all these people who are like really great teachers, and I have this immediate sense of like, I don't have the same knowledge or the same depth that they do. So immediately there was this sense of like, but then I realized like that could only happen if the person that I am now is not. That can only happen if the person that I am now is completely dissolved, and there's only the consciousness working through this body. And then the consciousness, it can be in that position. Because yeah, consciousness, it can process everything. Nothing is too difficult for consciousness. Nothing is too cruel or sad or intolerable for consciousness. Consciousness can process everything, but our psyche is, you know, it can be cracked, it's vulnerable. I also saw like that I needed to create a retreat. Like I saw a retreat center, and I saw like a man, like myself probably, I don't know, that I need to create some kind of retreat. And I had this sense of like, yeah, like this center where people can come for a process of transformation. Yeah, helping people with different modalities. And yeah, after that it just faded all, and we had a sharing. We sat in a group and everybody shared their story. It was a really interesting day. Like, what I noticed is sometimes in the sessions I'm in this non-dual state almost, where everything's flowing from one to the other without any interruption from the mind, without any pause, it's just a complete process. But sometimes it's like in bits. It's like in bits, and you have some process, it's done, then you're in this space of what's happening, not happening, like evaluating, judging, thinking, and then something starts again, and it goes like in compartments. So after that, I went away with my friend, and I asked him, how was it for you? And he was so shocked because he realized he was activated now. Realized that now his energy was truly alive in the sessions. I'm gonna make a separate video about this. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. I don't know who I'm talking to, but probably people like me, right? Because like attracts like. Yeah. Enjoy yourselves.